Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what we can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean, I only talk to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to put the right information out there that you guys can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth. B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. So yeah, let's see here. We got a solo show today. We're going to break down some articles. I'm actually going to do Thursday Q&A show. The only reason I'm doing that is because my buddy's coming on Friday, and we're going to, that was the only day he was available this week. And so tomorrow is going to be the Q&A show. I know it's normally Friday, but you know what? We got to make shit happen because my guests that come on are active. They're working every single day and they're only available. So if you have any sales and operations related questions for the transportation industry, DM them over to me and I'll answer them live on tomorrow's show. We'll go back to Friday having our Q&A show next week, but this week is going to be tomorrow on that. All right. Yeah, solo show. But before we go any further, and before I forget, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether we're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about it, you get paid to move these. So for my small fleets, for my owner ops, everybody out there, you can jump on there and get paid to move these on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. So what they're working on right now, you guys, they got a bunch of trailers over in Stoughton, Wisconsin, and they need to get over to Milton, Ontario. And they're Reefer Vans. You get $350 per trailer to move these. And like, you can create a drop trailer pool because they don't just have to pick up in Stoughton. You can go down and bring them in Chicago and run them over to Milton, Ontario. You can get creative with this, guys, and you can offer that enterprise level solution to your customers out there. You know, this is what a lot of those large shippers are looking for. They're looking for drop trailer pools, and you can create them. They have the same opportunity. These ones are over in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're dry vans needing to get over to Clinton, Oklahoma. You get $300 US to move that, and there's 30 of those. And then they also have a bunch of trailers out in San Diego. You guys going to multiple locations: Chicago, Florida, Joplin, Missouri, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, everywhere. And they range between $1,100 and $2,200 per trailer. These rates expire, though, on June 2nd. And then finally, they have Paragould, Arkansas, getting up to Mississauga, Ontario. And that is going to be a bunch of dry vans out there. And then those run for $1,000 Canadian per trailer. So you guys, so hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Stacy Steen and Zach Lonergan are going to be in the audience. Do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. All right. Comments are blowing up today. Let's go. Good fucking morning from Dylan Turner over on YouTube. Michael Thomas, let's go. Thanks for tuning in, my man. Sonny Sharma, Orange Shirt Gang in the house. Jason Vegas, what is up? Good morning, sir. Mike, he's back stateside. I love it. Or excuse me, he's back over in Canada. Spent some time over in Europe. I can't wait to hear about the trip, my man. Jonathan Walschlager, good morning. Let's go. Let's see. Ricky Barnett, what is up? Good to see you in here, Ricky. Jonte Reed, good morning, everyone. Tono Lippy says, good morning, Freight Nation. Happy Wednesday. Zena, good morning to you. Jason Seguin, morning. I moved my first 2 loads. Let's go, Jason. Hell yeah, dude. That is fantastic. Let's get it, man. I love it, dude. That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. Keep it up. Keep it up, man. Tracy St. Clair, good morning. She's watching over on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in as always, Tracy. Jason, I love that, man. Dude, that makes my day right now to see that you got your first 2 loads moved, man. Like that's a big accomplishment out there, you know, in any freight market that you're in, but especially right now, man, for you to get out there and get going. I mean, persistence is everything right now. You know, I think a lot of at least this is what I'm seeing out there is, conversations are happening every single day with prospects and shippers and all of that. And, once you get onboarded, you got to fight tooth and nail. And I think this weekend is, if you're not planning on leaving town this weekend, get prepared. I think that this is where a lot of your opportunities are going to come. Is going to come on holiday weekends, and it's going to be this is where you're way in the door. Yeah, dude, I love seeing that, Jason. But yeah, you guys, I think that getting up and running in business, in your book of business or whatever. And I know I talk about this often, but I think that it's always relative. Is just never stopping in the follow-up. I think the follow-up is the literal most important component of the sales process, because most people stop. Most people stop following up. Most people give up in their approach on a lot of things because it gets hard and it doesn't get that instant results, and that's why it's always funny when you see everybody talk about the overnight success that took 10 years to get there and everything. Is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And, this is something that, Ramel and I were talking about this yesterday on yesterday's show, and it isn't getting lost in those times when things aren't happening, because things are progressing. They're just progressing like a 0.1% or 1% every single day. And it's really hard to quantify that when you're in the moment. And, I'm going through that right now in my own brokerage and building that up is yeah, man, we're moving freight. Yes, we're onboarding new customers, but it never happens as fast as you want it to. But it would never happen if you stopped the follow-up procedure, if you stopped reaching out, if you stopped just pursuing a lot of this. And it's so relative to so many things. And that's what kills most dreams. It's, at least for me, in business over these last couple of years, over these last couple of years, it's those days when there is nothing happening. It's the mental battle. I'm convinced of it. It's the hardest part in business. And, obviously there's a lot of other factors, but just speaking from my own personal experience, the hardest part is the mental factor of it, and not giving up on yourself, because there's freight out there. There's opportunities out there. People are onboarding. Big things are going to be happening over these next 18 months. And I think that for the most part, we need to be on top of it. And you need to understand that it's not personal. People aren't attacking you for you. It's just how the things work. So no, it's good to see. And, and I got some exciting announcements coming up here, again, soon. I'm going to show you guys the transformation of the studio that I'm building out, so I can get out of my my workspace, and I'm going to got that going. I got the paint up here, and now it's going to be onto the acoustics section of the build out, to have somebody who's a lot smarter than me help hang sound panels in there, so I can bring an even better audio quality and have a better video quality and everything that's coming about. Because again, this shit's not a game to me. I take this stuff seriously. I take every single one of you guys who tune in every single day. I want to have the best audio and video quality that is out there to continue to deliver these articles day in and day out. And yeah, all right, let me see. Mark Groves, what is up? Port TMS back in the house. Good to see you, my man. We got to catch up soon. Let's see here. Christine Stewart, good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. As always, Alexis Bailey, what's up? She's watching over on YouTube. Good morning to you. Tony Darnell, smiles and achievements. That is true. That's smiles and achievements and drayage. That's what Tony Darnell does. Love it. Rick Wooten, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's get into some articles here. How this one isn't it's on a bunch of news sites out there, but how this isn't being talked about at every waking moment is insane to me. I saw this come about last week. The first couple of reports were coming out about it, but I didn't want to talk about it publicly yet because, a lot of things, stories are written before the facts of the events actually come out. And I don't want to bring information out there to, my listeners and in the audience that tune into this show, and then have to retract and be like, oh, hey, that article I, talked about a couple of days ago, turns out it was a complete bullshit article. This is very, very real, though. This one was from NBCnews.com, and it's also on a bunch of other news sites as well, but this is just the one that I found. And it's 60,000 pounds of an explosive chemical lost during rail shipment, officials say. The company transporting the ammonium nitrate, which Google ammonium nitrate if you want, from Wyoming to California, said the release should pose no risk to public health or the environment if the loss resulted from a leak. I want to report and I want to emphasize on if the result was a leak. It goes on to say that 60,000 pounds of a chemical used in both fertilizer and an explosive is missing after likely disappearing during a rail trip from Wyoming to California last month. According to federal records, a rail car causing that left a plant operated by explosive manufacturer Dyno Nobel in Cheyenne, Wyoming on April 12th, according to the incident report filed on May 10th. By a representative of the company with the National Response Center. The report states that the chemical was released due to an unknown cause and was discovered missing after the rail car arrived in Saltdale, California, an unincorporated community more than 1,000 miles from Cheyenne. At the time of the report, the car was empty and on its way back to Wyoming. Ammonium nitrate has been a key ingredient in both terror attacks and fatal accidents. At least 581 people were killed in 1947 when 2,000 tons of the chemical exploded on a cargo ship that had docked in Texas City, Texas. That same year in France, a Norwegian ship contained 3,000 tons of it. It exploded. And then it also was used in the 1970 bombing at University of Wisconsin, as well as in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing that was out there. In 2013, ammonium nitrate was the cause of an explosion of a fertilizer plant in West Texas, killing 15 people and injuring 200. Federal officials later found the blast was criminal. And then in 2020, it was the source of a colossal explosion in Beirut, Lebanon, when 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate detonated, killing 200 people. That was a wild fucking video. If you haven't gotten out there and check that one out. It's a very common chemical that anybody that has used fertilizer has dealt with routinely and doesn't think anything about it. And just to give a little fuel, and you're asking for trouble, and that's what apparently was found, they said, of the Lebanon incident. But a California law enforcement official familiar with the case told NBC News that the recent disappearance of the chemical does not appear connected to any domestic terrorist threat. The agency would also examine a potential threat to Homeland Security that was out there. So this is what, because there's like, you see that, but then you also see them saying that they don't know where it is. So how they can say that it doesn't pose a threat at all is fucking crazy to me. Like, details aren't being put out there. Like, we're only seeing half truths of this, because how can you confidently say that? Because 60,000 pounds is gone. How can you confidently say that it's not in the wrong hands currently, or that it was, and again, if it's common in fertilizer and then it's spilt out during transit, you would think if they knew that, they would just come out and say, like, hey, there's no threat to the public. This is what happened. There was a puncture in the rail car or whatever it looks like, and 60,000 pounds of it spilled out. But that's not what is said in this. And that's why I don't know, maybe it was a gross miscalculation of inventory at the shipper. Maybe they didn't load it. I just feel like it'd be very fucking hard to just walk away with 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. A representative from the National Transportation Safety Board did not immediately respond. The FBI, shockingly, did not respond either. A spokesman for the Federal Rail Administration said that the initial findings suggest it was likely a leak caused by a component on the rail car. So that would also say that it was bulk loaded, and that rail shippers and railroads are responsible for ensuring the proper safety that was out there. A spokesman added that Union Pacific and Dyno Nobel should engage all necessary parties, including law enforcement, to ensure any potential damages are addressed swiftly and thoroughly. Representatives for Dyno Nobel and California Public Utilities did not respond to requests. A spokesman, Kristen South for Union Pacific, said the rail company transporting the chemical said in a statement that the disappearance should not threaten the public. The fertilizer is designed for ground application and quick soil absorption. If the loss resulted from a rail car leak over the course of transportation from the original destination, it should pose no risk to the public, and that the investigations is in its early stages. At this point, we do not believe there's any criminal or malicious activity involved, but they don't know for a fact. The rail car was sealed when it left the Cheyenne facility, so they do have proof that it was. Seals were intact when it arrived in Saltdale. The initial assessment that a leak through the bottom gate on the rail car may have developed in transit. So again, there's a lot. It's a big deal, right? Like, and especially because it's just another black eye on the rail right now, because it's been all over the news. Yes, derailments happen every single year. Yes, shit happens all the time. That's out there. But again, I think that this is putting more and more of a spotlight on what could be improved. I'll call it like that. I mean, 60,000 pounds, based off of what I've read on this article and other articles, yes, they cannot prove that that's what happened, but it seems like the likely, it seems like the likely event that there was a puncture and that it spilled out that way. But again, I don't, we'll just wait and see here a little bit longer on it. But again, I think that it's going to put like the big spotlight. Not only did I want to talk about it because like that's a fucking big deal, but it's also, there needs to be more of a reinvestment inside of our actual infrastructure. There needs to be increased safety standards on here, because like something like that falling into the wrong hands, we all know what could happen from that. And we need to take this very, very seriously, which I'm sure people are. I'm not saying that nobody is, or that they're not paying attention to this accurately, but I feel like at the end of the day, this is shit needs to change, right? Like, we need to take this very, very seriously, because this is life or death style stuff out there if it gets into the wrong hands. But again, if you're in the industry, it's an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for you to come in and make some changes out there. So this article, it was about 60,000 pounds of explosive chemical lost during rail shipment. You can find it on any major news source out there. For the most part, NBC News is where I got this article. And I will always put the links to the articles up on the YouTube channel, The Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio-only replay, which will be available almost immediately after the show on iTunes and Spotify. Michelle McGinnis, thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for tuning in, Michelle. I appreciate that. Zach Lonergan says, good morning, Freight Coach world. All right, next article we are going to break down. Excuse me, after I drink my coffee, is from fleetowner.com. House reps hear regulatory, supply chain, and carrier safety rating concerns. When legislators ignore the needs of those who haul freight, overreaching supply chain problems are inevitable. At least that's how small business truckers see it, according to William Louis Pugh, who's the EVP of OIDA. Ooh, my favorite group. During a recent Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure hearing, Pugh reminded federal policymakers that 96% of trucking companies are small businesses that operate 6 or fewer trucks. However, he pointed out, truckers feel their concerns have fallen to the lowest priority among supply chain workers. Lawmakers and regulators have long prioritized corporate carriers, law enforcement agencies, safety advocacy groups, along with shippers and receivers over the truckers when developing policies. This has led to an increasingly difficult environment for both professional drivers and small business trucking. The purpose of the May 10th hearing was for representatives to learn more about supply chain bottlenecks, and to discuss possible solutions with freight transport stakeholders. Pugh was joined by Ann Renke, president of the TIA, David Filekoff, and he's the EVP of Government Affairs, the NATSO, which represents Americans Travel Plazas and Truck Stops, and Sigma, which represents fuel marketers, and Cole, Scandalagia, senior legislative representative for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Oh, great. I'm glad the union was there. The trucking industry plays a crucial role in the supply chain, ensuring that the goods and suppliers are transported from location to another. We need to make it easier for women and men to choose this profession, which is the most common path to the middle income lifestyle that does not require a college degree. Truckers feel shackled by regulators, which, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that statement at all. It seems like there's a new fucking regulation that comes up every single day that's coming out here that makes it a lot more challenging for our drivers and frankly, for all of us, right? Like our drivers are affected by it, but the entire industry is affected by it as a whole. During his testimony, Pugh conveyed that millions of truckers have been saying that for far too long, that they continue to struggle to find a safe place to park, wasting nearly an hour of productive time each day. He also stressed that drivers are routinely denied access to restrooms at facilities where they pick up and deliver freight at, and that unpaid and unproductive detention time continues to hamper them. And he also used the opportunity to lambast a pending speed limiter proposal, which OIDA has been a staunch opponent of. I agree with OIDA on this wholeheartedly. That should not be a fucking thing. Again, like I've mentioned numerous times on the show, what's the point of a speed limit? Honestly, what's the point of a speed limit if we want to go out there? I feel like from this standpoint, the stance of our government should not be to tell a trucking company that you cannot exceed 65 miles an hour. The stance should be to show the benefits of what that could do for your business as a whole. I fucking hate mandates. I hate them telling us that how we should operate our business, right? Like I think it's very common knowledge out there. And if it's not common knowledge, research the benefits of idling your truck of running your truck at say 65 miles an hour as opposed to 72 in regards to fuel burn consumption and everything and what that could do to your possible P&L. But don't tell anybody that they have to run at 65. Everybody out there who, like all the large fleets, have been doing this for a very long time. I personally feel that from my stance, all that's doing is drowning out the little guy. All that would benefit is the larger fleets in those instances who have already implemented all of these inside of their own fleets. If that's what they're going to do, cool. Don't make everybody else do it either. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. And that crash rates, let me see, that there's never been more regulations on our industry, and they comply with these rules at an extremely high rate, and crashes continue to increase despite no requirement to do so. The administration is moving forward with an extremely unpopular mandate that will slow the movement of freight. We also called out the EPA's multifaceted attack on diesel trucks, which OIDA remains drastically increase small business for truckers to cost and operate their vehicles. And they urged the community to support the Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act, which I agree with on that one. Fundamentally, we believe good jobs and working conditions in the freight industry directly translate to a stronger supply chain. Noted the Teamsters out there. Strong supply chain depends on that. Teamsters unequivocally reject watering down training standards, attacking fatigue protections, and putting heavier and more dangerous trucks on our interstate. Hold on, let me see here. And here's another part about the fraud epidemic. And, Ann Renke was talking about that as a whole. And, the FMCSA can get maybe 5,000 inspections a year, and there are upwards of 500,000 motor carriers. So that means that the vast majority of motor carriers are not rated. The new bill, the HR 915 motor carrier selection standard, aims to solve the issue in the first stages of legislative process, the bill introduced to Congress in February that was out there. In the meantime, rather than removing the physical audit, TIA suggests implementing a measure to amplify the FMCSA the data that they already receives. It would establish an interim standard because right now our members don't have to check on anything to hire a carrier. A second priority for the TIA's members is eliminating a fraud and epidemic which causes obviously they're talking about double brokering and everything that was out there, and that it included a $10,000 penalty for illegal double brokering. And then unfortunately, due to the lack of enforcement, okay. So for starters, I want to go up to the part about the fuel. Again, switching to EV, doing all of this shit. I mean, if you do any below headline research on it, our current infrastructure and power grid could not even remotely come close to sustaining if there was a EV push out there and that every combustible engine had to be removed. It couldn't fucking happen. You can look at the state of California, for example. The governor of California himself stated last year to not charge your car during peak hours. That's all you need to fucking see on our current infrastructure based on some of these regulations that they're putting out there. All right. When it comes to EV and in semis and everything. Again, I'm not like, do your own thing, but to sit here and say that we got to remove that and everything needs to switch over to electric, our power grid can't even fucking sustain what it currently is right now in a bunch of states out there, let alone all of them. And to completely transfer all of that over there would be catastrophic, especially in the next 7 years. Like it's a joke, and I'll call it what it is. When administrations change, that entire thing changes with it. So take it for what it's worth. In regards to, yes, fraud, I think fraud is the biggest thing plaguing this industry. It is. I've said that numerous times. Fraud, double brokering, unchecked dispatch companies who are posing as brokers. Just go to any social media site out there and you see dispatch companies stating that they're trying to sell freight. They're posting rates out there and everything. So again, explain to me how that is not a fucking broker and why they are unchecked and brokers are. All right. Do I think that the standards need to be raised? Absolutely. I think that it should be required for every broker out there to carry cargo insurance. I think that they should raise the barrier of entry to a lot of these things. Now, does that stop criminal activity? No, because in the real world, criminals don't care what rules and regulations are in place because they're fucking criminals. They're going to break the law no matter what. But I think it will drown out a lot of the low-level shit that you see going on over there because it's not as easy. The FMCSA has completely fucking dropped the ball on holding people to any form of standards. And then they're always going to say, oh, we're underfunded, or we're this and we're that. Putting more rules and regulations against the truck drivers does not solve fraud. Putting more rules and regulations out there that don't actually address core fundamental issues of this industry that are putting small businesses out. Because as we all know, who is the biggest victim of fraud in this industry? It is the carrier that actually hauls the load for a fictitious rate that they will never get paid, because that $3,000 for conversation piece is what puts them out of business because they don't fucking receive their money. Okay. That is a core fundamental issue of this industry that needs to be addressed by all parties involved, not how do we get EV out there in a faster pace. That's my personal opinion on it. And I'm going to stand on that opinion. Fraud is what needs to be addressed. Fraud is what needs to be fixed and actually held and holding people to higher standards and not allowing somebody to reincarnate as a new provider the next day. We got to do something about dispatch companies out there as well. I have friends out there that own dispatch companies, and not all of them are bad. And I'm not trying to say that. Just like not every freight broker out there is bad. Just like not every trucking company out there is bad. But at the end of the day, this shit needs to stop because it is costing real people's jobs and livelihoods out there. And it needs to be addressed. And the FMCSA needs to do something about it. Straight up. They need to do something about it. We got to stop fucking allowing these government agencies who overlook our industry and other industries out there just to turn a blind eye, to put out another bullshit report that is not going to actually solve anything, right? Like they increase their budgets every fucking year. Why isn't anything increasing along with it? Why aren't the standards increasing along with it? I'm so sick and tired of this. And, again, remember you guys, our elected officials that are out there who are on these transporters, like Google it. Google who is on the Transportation Oversight Committee. Google who is a member of that. And if they're your local official, if you don't want anything to do with this, just fucking call them and keep calling them and keep calling them and keep calling them until there's actual meaningful change that is brought forward. Remember, you guys, the government works for us. No matter how they try and spin it, the government does not exist outside of our tax dollars that fund it. Okay. And if you don't like how shit's being done in the transportation industry, everything's public information. Call your elected officials and fucking demand that they do something about it. All right. That's all I can say about that. That article, fleetowner.com. And that is House of Reps, regulatory supply chain carrier safety rating concerns that are out there. Yeah, Dale, it's straight up a money fucking game. Dude, that's like 50 million a year in revenue. 60 million a year in revenue. They're not going to do anything about it. Like it's pretty fucking simple, Dale. You are 100% right. I've said it again. It's only a revenue game out there for them. Mark Grove says new scam is cloning companies to screw honest brokers, and the shippers are being cloned now too. Watch out, friends. Do your due diligence, you guys. Again, as I always say, a lot of these people who are doing it, they're looking for the people who clearly don't give a shit about their job. Vet your providers. And like I say this, it's very hard to negotiate with somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's very deterring to somebody when you are out there vetting them and you are asking very detailed and direct questions. And yeah, you know what? They can hear this, but they also know that there's a lot of people out there who aren't going to do anything. So if you want to change, raise your fucking standards for the people that you're working with and talking to out there. And don't get this base level just, here's where it picks, this is where it delivers, take it or leave it, yada, yada, yada. Because that's what the market that we're out there right now, that's what that breeds, is that style of behavior. But I got to go because it's 9 o'clock. It's been 30 minutes, and I try and keep these shows to 30 minutes. I got freight moving today, and I also got cold calls to make, just like every single one of you. So tomorrow, Q&A. All right, tomorrow's going to be Q&A, not Friday. We're going to do it tomorrow. If you have any sales or operations related questions, DM them over to me. I will answer them live on tomorrow's show. And as always, if you guys got value out of what you heard here today, subscribe and share the show. Rank the show on iTunes and Spotify. That's how we continue to grow. That's how we are the top transportation podcast out there. If you didn't get any value, don't. I believe in a value exchange at the end of the day, you guys. But that's going to be it. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, you guys. 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. Appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.